Hello and welcome to Nithrania YouTube channel. You're watching another episode of the Game in a Nutshell series designed for explaining the board game rules. My name is Branislav Berec, and in this video we're going to learn how to play Golem, published by Nithrania Creations. To set the game up, place the game board in the middle of the table. Place the synagogue board with the structure next to the game board within the reach of all players. Then, using this table in the rulebook, based on the number of players in the game, take the indicated number of these marbles and put them into this synagogue structure. Then place these pass tiles next to this synagogue board and shuffle these action tiles and place them face down on this space on the synagogue board, and then deal number of these action tiles into these spaces from top to bottom equal to the number of players in the game plus 1. So in a 3-player game you would deal 4 tiles. This game uses a lot of variable setup, and in the following steps I will show you the standard setup of the game. If you want to set the game up for some kind of the introductory game, you will find the specific cards and the tile numbers in these boxes in the rulebook. So use those instead of the random cards or random tiles. Separate these character cards into 2 decks using these round numbers on the back of the cards. Shuffle each deck separately and deal 3 random cards from the deck 1 to 3 on the first 3 spaces from the left, and 1 card from the deck with number 4 to the rightmost space. Flip all those cards face up. Shuffle this deck of book cards and place them here on the library space, and deal the top 5 cards face up. Sort these neighborhood tiles by their color and shuffle each stack separately, and randomly deal 7 tiles of each stack on these neighborhood spaces in the matching district of the matching color. You can return the remaining tiles back to the box. Then flip them face up, and based on this number in the bottom right corner, arrange the tiles in the ascending order from left to right. In each district, place the matching colored menorah tokens on their designated spaces on the game board. Then each player chooses a color and takes all the components of one color and one player board, and we will set that player board up first. Each player board has 3 sections. The blue one is the study section, this one is the golem section, and this is the artifact section. Each section will have 6 development tiles. These 5 study development tiles are placed on these spaces, the smallest one over here, and each other tile on the space with a matching cost. The 6th study development tile is this large tile which forms the part of your study track, and place it with the side up that shows this upgrade cost. Then place one of your markers on the 0 space of this study track. Then these are 6 golem development tiles. Arrange them like this and place them with this gray side up. Finally, these are 6 artifact development tiles. These 3 gray tiles are placed on these spaces, any side up. These 2 gold ones on these 2 spaces, again with any side up. And this large one is at the bottom with the side showing the cost. Then place 4 golems on these spaces. Set aside the remaining 2, they will be placed on the game board. Place another marker on this 3rd space from the bottom of the golem track. Place one of your students in the first space of each of these 3 streets on the main board. You may place your rabbis next to the synagogue board or next to your player board, but they will be used on these action spaces. And randomly determine the starting player order and place the player markers on the matching spaces on this turn order track. Place 1 counter of each player on the space 10 of the scoring track. Then shuffle these starting tiles and give each player 4 random tiles, and shuffle these objective cards and again deal each player 4 cards. You will draft these objective cards, which means take a look at those 4 cards you have been dealt, choose one of them, keep it next to your player board, and pass the remaining cards to the player to your left. So you get 3 cards from the player from your right. Again, look at those cards, choose one of them, keep it in front of you and pass the 2 cards to the player to your left, and so on until each player chooses 4 cards. From those 4 final cards, choose 3 to keep and return the other one to the bottom of the objective cards deck. Keep these cards hidden from other players. Then take the number of these artifact tiles equal to the number of players in the game and place them with the random side up. Then, in the reverse player order, so starting from the last to the first, choose a tile from the display and place it next to your player board with the same side up. So this is how it should look like once you're finished. Now look at those 4 starting tiles. Choose 2 of those tiles and take all the benefits from those 2 tiles. Discard the other tiles to the box. If the tile shows a resource, take those resources. So in this example you would take 3 coins, and here you would take 3 knowledge points. The third resource in the game is the clay. If the tile shows the icon like this is blue student with the number 1. That means that you may move your student in the blue district 1 space to the right. This blue arrow indicates that you may perform 1 blue upgrade with a discount of the 3 knowledge points, which means you may upgrade any tile with the same blue arrow, and in this example you might upgrade this one for 5 knowledge points, and since we don't have 5 knowledge points, let's say we may upgrade this one for 3. After upgrading the tile, flip it to the other side. Don't forget that you may also upgrade this large track tile. That's also a study development tile. Artifact upgrades work slightly differently. When you upgrade any of these spaces, you may take one of the gray tiles and place it with any side up to that upgraded space, and it will provide additional benefits during the income phase once that artifact will be completed. When you upgrade one of these spaces, you take one of these gold tiles, again any side up, and these tiles will reactivate those artifacts anytime a certain condition is met, in this case anytime you use the red marble. I'll talk about that later. When you upgrade this large tile, it's only flipped to the other side and gives you 3 menorah symbols. 2 more examples. When you take the book symbol, you may move 1 space up on this study track, and when you gain the gold, you must place it in one of these spaces as shown on your player board. You may place it in any empty space. If you have all the required gold bars in one artifact space, you complete that artifact. After taking the benefits from your 2 starting tiles, you can return those to the box as well. Only now you may take those 2 remaining golems that were set aside previously, and in the turn order, starting from the first player, place each of your golems in the leftmost neighborhood of the district of your choice, but you must place them into 2 different districts. Once all players place their golems, the setup is complete and we're ready to go. Before explaining the gameplay itself, let me first explain the basic concept of the game. Your player board has 3 distinct areas. This blue one, which is the study area, this is the golem area, and this is the artifacts area. The study area has 4 columns for books from the library, and each column can have the books or cards of one color only, and the black color is wild. Furthermore, 2 columns may not have the books of the same color. So in this example, you would only be able to place blue books into this column. Any other red cards you would acquire would have to go to this column. The number of cards in each column is limited by the position of your marker on this study track, and the number is indicated over here. So if the marker would be here, I would be able to have maximum 2 cards in each column. If I would be here, only 1 card. If over here, 3 cards, and so on and so forth. The study area has 6 development tiles, this is one of them, and these 5 other tiles. To upgrade those tiles, you need the knowledge points, and each tile gives you some bonuses and also these menorah symbols. At the end of the game, during the final scoring, you score the victory points which is equal to the number of columns which have any cards multiplied by the number of your menorah symbols. In this current example, I only have 3 columns and 1 menorah symbol. That would be only 3 victory points. If I would unlock additional menorah symbols, I would have 3 columns with books multiplied by 3, 4, 5 menorah symbols. That would be 15 victory points. If your marker reaches these last 3 spaces on the track at the end of the game, you can also score additional victory points from this study track. Then, in this area, you build golems. To build golems, you need clay resource. Similar to the study area, the golem area also includes 6 development tiles. To upgrade those tiles, you need clay again. These development tiles provide the menorah symbols and some additional bonuses. And again, at the end of the game, you score the number of victory points, which is equal to the number of golems you have built. That is determined by the number of these empty spaces, multiplied by those menorah symbols. In this example, it would be 3 multiplied by 4. Finally, in this artifact area, you melt gold to create powerful artifacts. So you need the gold resource. And here you only need 1 gold, here you need 2, over here you would need 4 gold resources to complete the artifact. Only once you have all those resources there, the artifact is completed. Completed artifacts provide bonuses. And again, you have 6 development tiles. These great development tiles provide additional bonuses once you have that artifact completed. These gold artifacts can reactivate those artifacts when you trigger that reactivation based on the condition on that tile. In this example, I would need to use red marble to reactivate the artifact. And the large tile just gives me 3 menorah symbols. Again, at the end of the game, you multiply the number of completed artifacts by the number of your gold menorah symbols. Notice that from the endgame scoring perspective, all 3 areas are the same. You have 4 columns of books, 4 golems and 4 artifacts, and they each can be multiplied by the maximum number of 8 menorah symbols. The game is played in 4 rounds, which is indicated by these 4 character cards, and each round has 7 phases, although most of them are just the administration phases. The first phase is the refresh phase, which is skipped in the first round of the game, but in later rounds you take all the marbles and put them back into the synagogue tower. You discard the action tiles from the previous round and draw the new action tiles, and discard the leftmost book card and draw the new one. In the second step, you will move your golems. This is the mandatory step. Then in the third step, the most important step of each round, in this turn order, players will take turns and perform actions. On your turn, you can only perform 1 action, and during the entire round you can only perform maximum 3 actions. One of those actions will be with your rabbi on these action tiles, and 2 actions will use these marbles and actions printed on this synagogue board. Each action will usually lead to a chain reaction of other mini actions, and I'm going to explain everything in detail in the next chapters of the video. Then in the 4th step, you will determine the new player order based on the position of your rabbis on these action tiles. In the 5th step, you will be able to use the benefit of the active character card for that round. In the 6th step, you will take all the income from your player board and from your students, and you will be able to perform 1 upgrade on your player board. And in the 7th step, you will have to pay knowledge points to control your golems. And the further away the golem is from the student in the same district, the more knowledge points you will have to pay. At the end of the round 4, you will score the victory points from your player board, again from your study area, golem area and your artifacts area, and also from your objective cards. This is the requirement, this is the victory points you gain if you fulfill that requirement. And if you have different types of objective cards, you can gain additional victory points. Objective cards are considered to be of the same type if they have the same icon in the requirements section. The first step of each round is the refresh phase. It is completely skipped in the first round. In rounds 2, 3 and 4, first of all, take all the marbles from everywhere in the game, from this tray, from the player boards, or even from this pass tile if there would be any, and put them back into the synagogue structure. Then discard all the action tiles from the previous round and draw the new tiles. If this stack runs out, reshuffle all the discarded tiles and create the new draw stack. Then discard the leftmost book from the library, slide all the remaining cards to the left and draw the new card from the top of the deck. Then in the second step, in the turn order, you must move your golems. Sum up this number next to the player marker on this golem track, in this case it is 2, and the number in the top right hand corner of the active character card for the current round. Here it's additional 2 steps. When moving your golems, you may distribute those steps any way you want. So you may move your golem 4 steps, or 1 golem 3 steps, 1 golem 1 step, and so on and so forth. As we will see later in the video, when you activate the golem, it has to be laid down like this. That indicates that that golem is exhausted and may not perform the action in the corresponding neighborhood. Now, anytime you move your golem, and only if you move it at least 1 space either way, you may stand that golem up and it's prepared to be activated in its current space. If you don't move with the golem remains laying down, and notice golems are not automatically stood up at the start of the round. You have to move that golem to stand it up. When you move your golem to the last 3 sections of each district, you have to pay either the knowledge points or the victory points. 1 if you move to the first space, 3 if you move to the second space, and 5 victory points or the knowledge points when you move to the last space. When you are in the last space and you have to move with the golem, you have to move with another golem instead. If all your golems are in the last space and you have to move again, you have to lose 5 victory points for each golem you cannot move. The third step of each round is the most important step, and it's the actions step. In this turn order, players take turns, and during each turn, players take 1 action until all players take 3 actions. One of those 3 actions will be an action with your rabbi on these action tiles, and 2 of those actions will use these marbles, and you will choose one of these 4 or 5 actions on this synagogue board. You may take those actions in any order you want. For example, the orange player may start with taking this action using the red marble. Green player may decide to take the rabbi action. The purple player may take this action with the blue marble. Back to the orange player who wants to take the second marble action with the yellow marble. Green player, the first marble action with the blue one. And now the purple player may decide to take the rabbi action, and since the orange player already took the 2 marbles action, now they can only take the rabbi action, and the other 2 players will continue with the remaining 1 marble action. I will explain the marble actions first and then the rabbi actions. Each line of marbles is connected to 1 action on the synagogue board. There are 4 basic actions, and this last one is called the mirror action, and that one can copy any of those 4 actions. To take the marble action, take one of the marbles, any marble from that line, and place it on your player board into one of the eyes of the golem on your player board. Now, when you take that marble, the number of those marbles in that line, when you take it, determines the strength or the value of that action. In our example, it would be 3. So note that value before you place the marble on your player board. The color of the marble you take determines which student may be moved 1 space further. So since we took the blue marble, the orange student may move one space in the blue district. When you take the white marble, you may not move any of your students, and when you take the black marble, you may move two of your students in two different districts. So, for example, one in the blue district and one in the yellow. Then, after moving your students, you can perform the corresponding action. With this first action, you may activate your golem, which is this hammer symbol. As I already mentioned, to activate the golem must be standing. You may not activate the golem which is laid down. You may activate from 1 up to 4 golems, and for that you have to pay 1, 3, 5 or 8 knowledge points. So to activate 4 golems you need to pay 8 knowledge points. However, you have a discount which is equal to the value of that action. Remember, we took the blue marble from this line, so the value of the action would be 3. That means we can either activate 2 golems for free because the activation cost is 3 knowledge points and we have the 3 knowledge points discount, or we can activate 3 golems which costs 5 minus 3, 2 knowledge points, and so on and so forth. When you activate the golem, take the action on the corresponding tile, so of the corresponding neighborhood. In this example, you would take 3 clay and lay the golem down. When you activate this golem here, you would perform the gold upgrade with the 2 coins discount. Again, lay the golem down. Since there is a lot of these icons and a lot of symbols in the game, I'm not going to explain all of them. You have them all explained in the rulebook. The second marbles action is called the golem action. The value of the action indicates how many clay resources you get, and then you may perform 1 golem upgrade and you may build 1 golem. The golem upgrade allows you to upgrade one of the golem development tiles. Each tile has a cost. You need clay to upgrade that golem development tile. And again, you can find the description of all those development tiles in the rulebook. The resources you spend are returned to the general supply. Then, if you have resources available, you may spend 3 clay to build 1 golem. As soon as you build the golem, increase the position of your marker on this golem track by 2 and place the golem standing in any district you want. If there is any golem in that district, for each golem you have to pay additional 3 clays. So if I would place the golem in this space, I would have to pay 6 additional clay. This is the symbol for killing the golem. You can find it also over here. When you kill a golem, it can be standing up or laying down. Move it to the cemetery. You find that kill action icon over here as well. You can move that golem to any empty space in the cemetery and gain the benefit immediately. In addition, move 1 space down on the golem track. Keep in mind that these spaces are only available in a 4-player game, these ones in a 3 and a 4-player game. So to make sure you don't place the golem in these spaces, you can use the golems of the color which is not in play and cover those spaces. When all of those spaces are already occupied, when you kill a golem, you may place it in this space. You still go 1 space down on the golem track, but you don't get any bonus. The third marbles action is called the artifacts action. The value of the action indicates how many coins you gain immediately. And then you may perform 1 gold upgrade and pay 3 coins to get maximum 1 gold. When you gain a gold resource and you complete the artifact with that resource, gain the income from that artifact immediately. You will also gain that income during the income phase of each round. When you perform the artifact upgrade, either in this column or in this column, choose a specific space and pay the cost of that space. When you upgrade these spaces and place the gray tile any side up to this space, it will increase the income once the artifact is finished, and you may place the tile there even if that artifact is not finished yet. When you perform these upgrades and place one of these gold tiles in those upgraded spaces, you may reactivate those artifacts if you have this particular upgrade and you take a red marble action, you may reactivate that artifact immediately. Similarly, when you have the artifact with the blue marble side up, when you take an action with the blue marble, reactivate that artifact immediately. If you use this upgrade with the book symbol, anytime you place the first card into a column, that's why number 1 and the book symbol, you may immediately reactivate that artifact. And when you use the upgrade with this side up, with the golem side up, anytime you build a new golem, you may reactivate that artifact. Finally, this large upgrade tile is the exception from these artifact upgrades. You have to pay the cost indicated on this tile, which is 8 coins. Then you can flip it to the other side and you gain 3 menorah symbols. This fourth action is called Study. The value of the action determines how many knowledge points you gain. Then you may perform 1 blue upgrade and gain 1 book. I have already talked about those blue upgrades. Those are these 5 upgrades and the 6th one. When you pay the cost of that upgrade, you can flip it to the other side. Then you can buy one of the books from the display. The cost is the sum of these two numbers, which is the number of knowledge points on the card and the number of the knowledge points based on the position of the card. So here it would be just 1 knowledge point. In this case it would be 5 knowledge points. If you have the symbol like this on the black card, you have to move one of your students 1 space left. You must move that student. If it's on the starting position, you may not pay this cost. So when you pay the cost and buy the card, tuck the card under 1 column on your player board, and each column can only have the cards of 1 color. You may never have 2 cards of the same color in 2 different columns, so each new blue card would now go into this column. Black cards or books are wild color and you can use it instead of any other color, and if the black card is in a column and there's no other card, the color of that column is not yet determined. Then, when you buy the new card, first activate this effect immediately. That's why it has this flash icon. So here I would gain 1 knowledge point. And then activate all other tiles, including the development tile if it's already upgraded, starting from the bottom and going to the top. So here I would get 2 victory points, another victory point, 1 coin, and for 1 knowledge point I can move 1 space on the study track. With every new card, activate the immediate effect first, and then reactivate all the cards from the bottom of the column to the top, including the newly acquired card and also the bottom development tile. The number of cards you can have in each column is limited by the position of your marker on this study track, and it is determined by this icon on this study track tile. At the end of the action, slide all the cards in a library and fill in all the empty spaces, and then draw the new card. And finally, this 5th action, 5th marble action, is called the mirror action. That's why this icon here. When you take this action, you pay 1 coin, and then you can take any of these 4 actions that we talked about previously. When you take that action, the value of the action, in this case it would be 3, is used in the action you choose. So in this example, I would get a 3 knowledge points discount. Here I would get 3 coins if I would copy this action, and so on and so forth. After you pay 1 coin and copy one of these actions, then you can pay 3 additional coins and move 1 space on your study track. To take a rabbi action, take your rabbi and place it on an empty action tile. Then perform the actions shown on that tile. Again, you can find the description in the rulebook. There can only be 1 rabbi on each of these action tiles. However, this last one has an unlimited space. If you take this action with your rabbi and there is already a rabbi of another player, place your rabbi to the right of the position of the previous rabbis. The order of those rabbis here will be important for determining the turn order for the next round. The last thing which I'm going to explain for this action step are these passing tiles. When performing the actions, and usually the marbles action, If you want to take a particular action and you don't like the marbles in that line, you don't like the number or you don't like the colors, you may decide to pass. When you do, take the lowest numbered pass tile and place it in front of you, and you take no further actions until all other players finish their actions or pass as well. To better illustrate the passing procedure, let me use this charming little requisite here. Let's say we have a 4-player game here, and orange player as the first player takes the marbles action. Then the gray player takes the marbles action. The purple player may take a rabbi action. The green player takes the marbles action as well. The orange player takes the rabbi action. But the gray player doesn't like the options and decides to pass and takes this one passing tile. The purple player may continue and they take a marbles action. But now the green player doesn't like the options and decides to pass as well and takes the pass tile with the number 2. Now it's back to the orange player who takes the last marbles action. Gray player passed, so they skip the turn, and it's back to the purple player who takes their second marbles action, and green player passed as well, so with this the first round of action is over. Each player has either taken 3 actions or passed. Now the player with the number 1 pass tile takes one of the marbles remaining in the tray, any marble, and places it on this number 1 pass tile, and then takes all the remaining marbles from the synagogue structure, puts them back to the synagogue, and continues taking the remaining actions, but this time only the players with these passing tiles take these actions. Here we have a gray player who only took 1 marbles action. Let's say they take another marbles action. The purple player doesn't take any actions because they have already taken the 3 actions. But the green player is not happy again and decides to pass again. So this time the green player takes the number 1 pass tile. Orange player doesn't take any actions and the gray player can either pass again or complete their actions with a rabbi action. So we have each player either passing or taking 3 actions. And since there's one more space on this pass number 1 tile, another round of actions can be taken. So the player with this number 1 pass tile has to take 1 marble from the marbles in the synagogue structure and place it on that number 1 pass tile. Then collect all the remaining marbles, put them back into the structure. And now green player must take the remaining actions. So one of those actions must be a rabbi action and the other action must be the remaining marbles action. In the 4th step of each round, you have to determine the turn order for the next round. It is based on the position of rabbis on these action tiles. The player with the rabbi highest on these tiles goes first, then the next player, and so on and so forth. In this example, the orange player goes first, then we have the purple player, and since we have more than 1 player on this action tile, each other player has to place their rabbi to the right of the previous players. So we have orange player, then purple, then green. After that, you can take your rabbis and place them next to your player board or just somewhere next to this synagogue board. In the 5th step of the round, in the new turn order, you can influence the active character for the current round. So in the first round it would be this character, in the second round this one, and so on and so forth. If you have the marbles of the same color as shown on this character card, those are the marbles on your player board, you can have the same combination in any order you want. And for this purpose, and only for this purpose, white marble counts as the wild color, so it can represent any color. You must take the bonus from the card. You can take either the top bonus or the bottom, not both. If you don't have that combination of the marbles, you don't take any of those bonuses. Once all players have done that, flip the card face down or you can remove it from the game. The 6th step of each round is called the income and development step. You gain income from the study track and the golem track based on the position of your marker. Here's an icon with a hand and 2 knowledge symbols, so you gain 2 knowledge points. Here you would gain 2 victory points, and you only get income from your completed artifacts, again using the same iconology. In addition, you gain income from the position of your students on the streets. Here the orange player would gain 1 clay, here 2 coins, and so on and so forth. Note that in the early spaces on the streets there's no income. You can take the income from the streets and from your player board in any order you want. After that, you may perform 1 upgrade on your player board. It can be any upgrade you can afford from the study area, from the golem area, or from the artifacts area. And finally, in the 7th step of each round, you have to pay the knowledge points for controlling your golems. In each district, the cost for each golem is the difference, the distance between your golem and your student in that district, and is the distance in these sections. In this example, this golem is 1, 2, 3 sections away from the student. That means you have to pay 3 knowledge points to control that golem. This golem is behind the student, so there is no cost and you don't gain those knowledge points if the golem is behind you. This golem is in the same section as the orange student, so again there is no cost. You have to pay these knowledge points from your personal reserve into the general reserve. In case you don't have enough knowledge points to control the golem, for each golem you cannot control, you have to lose 5 victory points. After this 7th step, proceed to the next round, starting with the refresh step. At the end of the round 4, the game will be over and proceed to final scoring. First, calculate the victory points from the 3 areas on your player board. In the study area, multiply the number of columns in which you have at least 1 book by the number of blue menorahs. Here we have 3 columns and 1, 2, 5 menorahs. 3 times 5 is 15. In the golem area, multiply the number of golems you have built by the number of red menorahs. Here we have 2 multiplied by 1, 2, 3, 6. That is 12 victory points. And then multiply the number of your completed artifacts. Here we have 2 by the number of yellow menorahs. So here we have 2 multiplied by 5, that is 10 victory points. You can gain 1 extra menorah symbol from each district on the player board if your student is the first one to reach the section number 8 in the district. Take this menorah token and place it on or somewhere next to your player board. In this example, these 2 golems built would be multiplied by 6, 7 menorah tokens. That would be 14 victory points. Then, if your marker reaches this 6, 7 or 8 space on the study track, you would gain the corresponding number of victory points now at the end of the game. Then for each 5 remaining resources, score 1 victory point. Here we have 5 and 6 and 1, that is 12 resources, that means 2 additional victory points. And then score the victory points from your objective cards. Here, for example, if you have completed at least 5 developments, any developments on your player board, you would score 2 victory points. If you completed 7 developments, you would score 4 victory points. These are cumulative if you have 2 objective cards. And use the similar logic for all other objective cards. If you fail to fulfill that requirement, obviously you don't score any victory points. Then score the number of victory points for each different type of objective cards you have completed. Objective cards are considered to be the same type if they have the same icon in the top section. So if you would complete these 3 different types, you would gain additional 5 victory points. These are not cumulative, this is just an informative number. If you would complete 4 or more different types of objective cards, you would score 9 victory points. And then the player with the most victory points is the winner. So that's how you play Golem. If you would have any questions or comments, please put them into the comment sections below. I'll do my best to answer as many as I can. If you like the series, please subscribe. You can even support the channel on the Patreon page. You've been watching Game in a Nutshell. My name is Branislav Berec and hope to see you next time. I would like to thank everyone who has ever supported the channel, and especially the current supporters listed on this page. If you too would like to support the channel in creation of videos like this and other video tutorials and other content on this channel, please visit the patreon.com/Nithrania.